Nigeria's merchandise trade grows by 2.5% in first quarter of 2019. Federal government revokes 6 oil block licenses over debts. Oil prices rise for second day. Plus, correspondent takes a look at benefits and impact of federal government's social investment program. Details of these and more on this edition of Business Express on the network service of the NTA. I am Muplang Dakok. The Nigerian merchandise trade grew marginally in the first quarter of 2019. A report released this Friday by the National Bureau of Statistics indicates that total trade grew by 2.50%. The statistics also shows that the value of total imports rose 3.39% in the first quarter of 2019. The breakdown indicates that imported agricultural products were 7.98%. Raw material imports grew by 6.62%. Energy goods imports was 20.28%, and manufactured goods increased by 25.81%. Total exports in first quarter of 2019 increased by 1.78% against the last quarter of 2018. The federal government has spent record figures on infrastructure in the past 2 years, and capital expenditure is now around 30% of the budget rather than the inadequate 10%. This is contained in a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, in reaction to an international media's publication on Nigeria's economy. The statement said the federal government at the time placed ban on importation of rice and took toothpick production, which has led to boom in rice production. It said since recession, the government has taken measures to redress weaknesses in the nation's economy. Efforts that have made IMF to praise Nigeria's strong diversification of the economy and welcome the focus on public investments. Millions of Nigerians nationwide are currently benefiting from the different schemes under the federal government's National Social Investment Program, NSIP, which is the largest social welfare scheme in the history of the country. In the second term of President Buhari's administration, more Nigerians are expected to come aboard the schemes. 3 years down the lane, Olayinka Ojo takes a look at the direct impact of the program on Nigerians.
200,000 crates of eggs, 594 cows, 83 metric tons of fish in 5 days are enough incentives to attract children back to school. This scheme addresses malnutrition, empower local cooks who provide the meals, and farmers where the food is locally sourced from. It is one of the several National Social Investment Program of the federal government aimed at empowering Nigerians and improving their livelihoods. Others are Conditional Cash Transfer, Empower for unemployed graduates, and the Enterprise Entrepreneurship Program. About 12 million Nigerians have been lifted out of poverty, with more than 1 million poorest households benefiting from the cash transfer program.
We must mention that out of the annual approved budget of 500 billion every year between 2016 and 2018, the total sum of 470 billion has so far been released to the NSIO and expended on the above measure program. In 2016, out of 500 billion, we got 79.985 billion. In 2017, we got 140 billion out of 500 billion. And this year, so far, for the 2018 budget, we've got over 250.84 billion.
Apart from supporting the most vulnerable in the society, skilled workforce is being developed for economic productivity by providing jobs for millions of Nigerian youths through the Empower program.
When I came into the department, I was able to know the marking out tools, the cutting tools, and the laying out tools.
The Empower scheme has currently engaged 500,000 youth graduates deployed to provide public health services in teaching, health, agriculture, and tax and monitoring, who get stipends of 30,000 naira monthly.
Anyone who can afford 30,000 a month will be able to buy a home under our new social housing fund scheme.
The story of Dapi Samuel Ali, a visually impaired graduate of special education and rehabilitation science from the University of Jos, justifies the wisdom behind the Empower program.
I serve at the Gindri Material Center for the Handicapped as a transcriber of printed books to Braille for blind users.
They empowered me, I empowers other people.
Today, I hold my own fish farm.
It has given me a passion to give back.
It is because of such impact on poverty eradication and improving the standard of education in the country that advocacy for sustaining the program in the next level is gaining momentum. But then, the next level JIP scheme is already targeting 10 million Nigerians, while 1 million more Nigerians will be added to the Empower program. With that, more youths like Samuel will have more opportunities of not only being gainfully employed and become self-reliant, but also employers.
The federal government has revoked 6 oil block licenses due to legacy debts owed the Federation. The Director, Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR Mordecai Ladan, said the move is in furtherance of the Presidential Directive on Recovery of Legacy Debts owed the Federation in line with the Petroleum Act of 2004. He said all mining lease OML 98 was revoked from Pan Ocean Oil Corporation, Allied Energy Resources Nigeria Limited, Express Petroleum Gas Company Limited, and Cavendish Petroleum Nigeria Limited. Mr. Ladan added that oil prospecting license OPL 206 was revoked from Summit Oil International. And in a similar development, oil prices rose more than 1% on Friday, climbing further away from 5-month lows hit earlier in the week after a report that Washington could postpone trade tariffs on Mexico amid signs that OPEC and other producers may extend their supply cuts. Brent crude futures were up 79 cents at $62.46 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 65 cents at $53.24 per barrel. And today we bring you this earlier interaction with the national chairman, Host Communities Producing Oil and Gas in Nigeria, Mike Emu, on the performance of the oil sector in the last 4 years under the Buhari administration. He also talked about expectations as the president begins his second term in office. Let's see that conversation. Shall be taking a look at how the oil industry has fared so far. We might not exhaust it all, but we will try to do the much that we can. I have in the studio the national chairman of Host Communities Producing Oil and Gas, Dr. Mike Emu. It's good to have you on Business Express.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so the non-oil sector has recorded great achievements in the last few years. But despite that, the oil sector or oil still remains the highest source of revenue for the nation. How would you rate the performance of the oil and gas sector in the last 4 years?
Basically, as the national chairman of the Host Committee of Nigeria Producing Oil and Gas, I believe that the oil and gas industry have so much contributed to the economy of this country, despite the fact that Mr. President, our beloved President of Nigeria, so much base his mind on the diversification from oil and gas to agriculture. Oil and gas still remain on top in terms of the economy of this country. Oil and gas will produce over 90% of the economy.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the upstream and the downstream of the oil sector. So which of the two would you say have performed better?
The downstream, it is an indebatable fact that the downstream mean the best, because the common man see whatever the oil companies does, and in the upstream nobody go to the high sea, so we don't know what transpired over there. At the downstream you discover that the oil company, for instance, in Delta State, where you have an oil company in Obiedo, between Kwale, the people the company reside in that place, develop the place, put up infrastructures, give them light and so forth. So that is the development that you can see at the downstream sector. But at the upstream sector, they go in with helicopter, come back with helicopter. Nobody knows whatever happened over there.
So talking about these activities, you talked about how the people have seen what is happening in the oil sector. Would you tell us more about how this has affected the people of the host communities?
Basically, if you look at the performance of the IOC and the NOC in the past 4 years now, there is a relative peace in the Niger Delta region. The host community have been able to come out to manage the crisis that were at hand in the Niger Delta region. I think that the oil company needs to come closer. They need to obey the instruction of the federal government based on the Nigerian Local Content Act, that when you operate in a place, you stay in the place and develop the place. So the oil company need to go back to the host community, think about infrastructure, think about medical facilities and energy and so forth and so on to the host community. I think that within 4 years now, let me use 3 years now, there has been a lot of peace in the Niger Delta region because of the effort of the host community and the oil companies who are now changing their mind because of the present good governance that we're having in this country. Everybody should tread with care and carefulness, so everybody wants to do what is right presently.
You talked about the need for more to be done by these companies, but do you think that the introduction of the local content has helped to empower people in the Niger Delta, especially the youths?
I think, you see, one of the policy that Nigeria has ever made or law is the establishment of the Local Content Act. And I visited the directors and staff of the Local Content office in Bayelsa State, and we rub minds together. We see that they are really out to develop the youth of the Niger Delta area in terms of skill acquisition, empowerment, and so forth and so on. It's a welcome idea that today we have in Nigeria Local Content Act operating.
Okay, let's talk about the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill. What do you make of it?
The Petroleum Governance Bill, the PIGB, should not be my major worry and concern. My major worry and concern and the host community of the Niger Delta is the neglected executive bill that was sent by the late President Sheikh Musa Yar'Adua, who sent the PIB bill in favor of the host community to the National Assembly. And for the past 14 years now, that bill have not been implemented. I think issue of the PIGB is about the governor, but what concerns the host community has not. There is no law made in this country that is in favor of the host community. And I thought that for the past 12, 14 years now, that the National Assembly, they will make sure that I thought that they will pass the bill in favor of the host community. So the PIGB is there, and is to guide the company and guide the government of the country, but nothing to guide the host communities of Nigeria.
Okay, so the Niger Delta region has witnessed a reduction in activities of vandals or vandalism in that region. Would you say this is attributed, or this can be attributed to policies of this administration or of government?
No, it is not issue of policy.
Okay.
It's an issue of the Niger Delta leaders taking their destiny to their hands. We discovered that pipeline vandalization, illegal refinery, these were detrimental and were destroying the ecosystem. And we decided to call our children to order. Presidency gave us assurance of employing 10,000 youth. We recruited these 10,000 youth from the creeks on pipeline surveillance, and we trained them in the NYC camp, Iseluku and Poraikos here and there. So 10,000 youth have been drawn to be security agents, security officers who carry out information to JTF, the police, the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps, and so forth and so on, as informants. Not only just being informant, there's what we tag to be intelligence security, not carrying a weapon. We train our children on the issue of intelligence security, guide over these oil facilities, don't destroy them anymore. Okay. And they listen to the host community, and as a result, there's relative peace. European Union came into the scene, European Union working with the host community, NNPs with the host community, presidency supported the host community, and there was a ceasefire dialogue that was that our people entered with the government, and that has worked for over 20 months now, and that's our stopped issue of pipeline vandalization and illegal refinery oil thefts and so forth and so on.
You talked about 20,000 or 10,000 youths. That's quite a large number.
Of course.
Yes, so how are these youths doing? What
really happened is that the idle man is a devil's workshop, so goes the philosophy. What really happened was that we have over 120 accredited universities in Nigeria producing over 40,000 graduates, 41,000 graduates every year, and 10,000 cannot be employed because of the destruction of all the industries in this country for the past 16 years ago. And the recruitment of these children is to give them salaries, watch over each community, produce 10 boys or girls, boys and girls, signed, recommended by the traditional ruler, and then watch over by the host community, train and empower, and with the promise of giving them employment by the NNPC awarding pipeline surveillance to these communities, not just to some individuals as it were in the past years. Okay. And so this has paid off. And as a result, we're having relative peace for the past 20 months now, because of the effort of the host community discussing with the children.
Okay, let's talk about the initiatives or the policies of this administration. What are those initiatives of this administration that you think have played out well, or has helped in developing the oil sector?
First and foremost, I must commend the effort of Mr. President. Okay. I seem to be a God-sent president of this country. He's a man that is well disciplined. Whether Nigerians like it or not, we know that this man is well disciplined. He's a man that hates corruption. And so his policy of fighting corruption, I want to appreciate EFCC and so forth and so on. People may say that they are partial. No. I think the government have really come out to promote discipline, to fight against indiscipline and corruption. And so the policy of the government, I think that good, meaningful Nigerians should rub mind with Mr. President to make sure that in the next 4 years that he put in the best more than what they have done so far.
Okay, so what would you recommend, or what would you suggest to be done for the Niger Delta or for the oil sector in Nigeria as a whole?
The oil sector should go back to the Niger Delta area, establish industry, create more employment, empowerment to the people, and the federal government also should make sure that what belong to the host community, to the Niger Delta region, that they make haste to implement with immediate alacrity those policy, those promises, 4-point agenda to the host community, issue of pipeline, surveillance contract, issue of 30% reservation template to the host community, issue of modular refinery licenses to the host community, issues of gas flare penalty levy money to be paid to the host community. If federal government really act now by releasing one or two of these items to the host community, I tell you, the Niger Delta region will be the best region every Nigeria will want to live in, stay and develop.
All right. Thank you very much. I think that's where we'll end this conversation for today. We've been speaking with Dr. Mike Emu. He is the National Chairman of Host Communities of Nigeria Oil and Gas. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much, viewers.
It was a negative all through for indicators on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange in the holiday-shortened week. The all-share index depreciated further at the close of trade Friday by 0.31% to end at 30,432.13 basis points, with the market's capitalization closing at 13.4 trillion naira. 305 million equities exchange hands in 3,754 deals valued at 3.9 billion naira. UBA emerged the most active stock at the end of the session. Curtix PLC topped the gainers table, while Total led the decliners table. And European stocks in Friday's session rallied on a relatively positive note as investors digested the latest news surrounding trade and the global economy. Bosede Ebel reports.
Shares rose on Wall Street overnight on hopes of a delay in the implementation of U.S. tariffs on Mexico. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added 181.09 points to close at 25,720.66, bringing its gain for the week to more than 900 points. The S&P 500 gained 0.61% to end its trading day at 2,843.49, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.53% to close at 7,615.55. Asian stocks advanced following positive development on US-Mexico negotiation. Nikkei rose 0.53% to close at 20,884.71. Markets in China are for a public holiday. Also in Hong Kong, the stock market closed on Tuanji Festival. Tuanji Festival is one of the 15 market holidays observed by the Hong Kong Stock Exchange each year. European stocks traded higher as investors digested latest news surrounding trade and global economy. DAX rose 0.65%, FTSE 100 0.71%, and CAC 40 1.29%, while African stocks opened the last day of trading in the week mostly positive.
Let's now see how the Naira is exchanging for other international currencies. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Business Express. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube, and our Twitter handle is NTA News Now. Remember to join us same time, same station next week, Monday. I am Muplang Dakok, saying keep thinking and doing business.